Ever wondered what happened to some of the stars who seem to just vanish from the spotlight? While some celebs step back intentionally, others disappear without a word, leaving fans wondering where they went. In this video, we'll uncover the stories of once famous celebs who slipped away from the spotlight without a trace. 1. Richard Edwards. Richie Edwards, guitarist and lyricist for the Manic Street Preachers, perfected the dark, brooding spirit of 1990s British rock. It's just like the romantic recklessness of Lord Byron. Punk attitude of Sid Vicious and angst of a troubled teen were combined. That was Edwards. Known for his intense, often haunting lyrics exploring themes of depression, Edwards also had a dramatic streak that caught attention. In one notorious incident, a journalist accused the band of inauthenticity. In response, Edwards carved "For Real" into his arm, a literal show of dedication. But Edwards' life soon took a darker, tragic turn. In February 1995, he mysteriously vanished after leaving his hotel. His car was later found abandoned near the Severn Bridge, hinting at possible despair, and leaving friends, fans, and family baffled. Initially, some speculated it was a continuation of his public persona, another twist in his self-destructive saga. However, when weeks turned into years with no sign of him, the mystery deepened. Edwards was officially declared deceased in 2008, though his body has never been found, leaving his story open-ended and shrouded in questions. His disappearance remains an unsolved legend, marking him as one of rock's most haunting, mysterious figures, a symbol of the tragedy that fame can bring. 2. Connie Converse. Connie Converse, a remarkable yet unrecognized musician of the 1950s, is now often hailed as the first modern singer-songwriter. Her music was uniquely introspective and deeply melancholic, full of lyrical ballads that hinted at a vulnerable, personal perspective unheard of in her time. This was a decade before Bob Dylan brought folk music to the mainstream. But despite her groundbreaking approach, Converse's contemporaries failed to recognize her talent. By 1961, she'd grown disillusioned, convinced she'd failed, and quit music altogether. In 1974, Converse took a drastic step. She sent farewell letters to friends, packed her belongings into her car, and disappeared, stating she was starting anew. She was never seen or heard from again, and her car and belongings were never found. To this day, her disappearance remains a mystery, with most assuming she fell victim to misfortune. In a twist of fate, Converse's music found its audience decades after her disappearance. In 2009, a collection of her haunting songs was released as an album titled How Sad, How Lovely, finally bringing her posthumous recognition and a devoted following. Tragically, she never saw her work appreciated, remaining a haunting, almost mythic figure in music history, whose life and art continue to intrigue and move listeners today. 3. Jim Sullivan. Jim Sullivan, a folk rock musician known for his haunting sound and mysterious story, fits perfectly into the mold of a cult artist. A key figure in the LA scene during the late 60s and early 70s, Sullivan released only 2 records before vanishing without a trace. In March 1975, he set out for Nashville, hoping to finally break into the industry. However, his car was later discovered abandoned in the desert by Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Oddly, Sullivan's wallet, clothes, and cherished guitar were left in a nearby motel room, but there was no sign of him. Friends insisted he'd never leave his guitar behind if he planned to disappear intentionally, adding another layer of mystery to his case. One haunting theory centers on Sullivan's 1969 album UFO, which includes lyrics about desert journeys and alien abductions. This has fueled the popular notion that Sullivan was abducted by aliens, an idea that resonates with fans captivated by his music and strange fate. Though we may never know what happened, Sullivan's disappearance, paired with his ethereal music, has cemented him as an enduring otherworldly figure in rock folklore, leaving fans and conspiracy theorists to wonder about his final journey. 4. Rico Harris. In 2000, Rico Harris was on a promising path, playing for the Harlem Globetrotters after being a top 100 college basketball recruit. However, his career derailed due to struggles with alcohol. Eventually, Harris left basketball and took a security job in Los Angeles. but drinking led to him being fired in 2014. That October, he left his mother's home in LA to drive to Seattle, hoping to start fresh with his girlfriend. Tragically, his car was later discovered abandoned near Sacramento. Although Harris was known to disappear for brief periods, those close to him noted he had been in a troubled mental state. His backpack and phone were found discarded by the roadside. Yet, there was no trace of him. In the days following his disappearance, witnesses reported sightings of a large man walking along State Route 16, and investigators found footprints in the sand. Some suggest Harris may have been picked up as a hitchhiker, as reported by the Los Angeles Times, but no concrete leads emerged. His disappearance remains unsolved, leaving loved ones and fans wondering what happened to the once promising athlete, who vanished without a trace on that fateful journey north. 5. Jim Thompson. Jim Thompson, often called the most famous American in Thailand, left a lasting legacy as a businessman and socialite. A former OSS agent, he moved to Bangkok after World War II, where he established a silk business that turned Thai silk into a globally coveted product. Known for his charisma, Thompson hosted extravagant parties that attracted Bangkok's elite and international visitors alike. In 1967, Thompson went on vacation to Malaysia. Staying in a bungalow, he set off for a brief afternoon walk and never returned. His mysterious disappearance captivated the world. While Thompson was an experienced soldier with the skills to survive in the wilderness, his success and high-profile life had earned him enemies, from business competitors to possibly even the CIA. Each of these connections has fueled speculation, suggesting that any number of people might have had a reason to see him vanish. Theories abound, from assassination to abduction, making his case a true-life mystery with all the intrigue of a spy novel. Despite extensive searches, no trace of him was ever found, and Thompson's sudden vanishing remains one of the greatest unsolved cases in Southeast Asia, an enigma that has kept people guessing for decades. 6. Scott Smith. Scott Smith, bassist for the iconic Canadian rock band Loverboy, was part of one of the biggest musical acts of the early 80s, known for hits like Hot Girls in Love and Working for the Weekend. A founding member, Smith remained with the band through its rise to fame. But in a tragic twist, his life came to an abrupt and mysterious end on November 30th, 2000. After a performance in Vancouver, Smith set off on a sailing trip to Mexico with friends aboard a 37-foot boat. As they neared San Francisco, rough seas hit, and a massive 20-foot wave swept Smith off the deck and into the water. The Coast Guard responded quickly, deploying helicopters and 2 boats to search a vast 133-square-mile area. Despite their efforts, Smith's body was never found. His disappearance remains an unsettling mystery. The quick response and extensive search failed to yield any sign of him, and his remains were never recovered. Smith's loss is still felt by his bandmates, fans, and loved ones, as they are left to wonder what exactly happened that day. His legacy endures through Loverboy's music, but his tragic disappearance adds an eerie chapter to the band's history. 7. Barbara Newhall Follett. Barbara Newhall Follett was an extraordinary writing talent of the Jazz Age, publishing her first novel, The House Without Windows, at just 12 years old. The book, a deeply complex and imaginative work, was widely praised, with critics heralding her as the next great American writer. With such a promising start, it seemed like Follett was poised to become a literary legend. However, after publishing just 2 novels, her life took an unexpected and tragic turn. By 16, Follett had to abandon her writing dreams to work as a typist, supporting herself and her mother while never penning another word. In 1939, at just 26 years old, Follett's life became even more mysterious. After a heated argument with her husband, she left their home and vanished without a trace. Despite the bizarre circumstances, her husband didn't make much effort to find her. And shockingly, her mother didn't discover she was missing until 1952. The press didn't catch on until 1966, by which time Follett had faded from public memory. To this day, no one knows what happened to her, and her disappearance remains one of the most puzzling literary mysteries. Barbara Newhall Follett's tragic end leaves behind only questions and the haunting possibility of what might have been. If you like this video, do not forget to share and subscribe. Also, let us know in the comments who surprised you in this list of stars who vanished without a trace.